Hi everyone, my name is Cassandra and this video is called My PTX Experience. Some of you guys on Twitter wanted to see this, so here it goes. So Monday, March 9th, I got to see Pentatonics in concert at the Chicago Theater, and I love them so much, so it meant everything for me. So I got there at about 3:20, so walking out of the parking lot, I saw the tour buses and I was like, oh my god. So I was walking past them while discreetly trying to take a picture, and then all of a sudden I see Scott and Mitch come out, and I was freaking out because I love them both so much. So, yeah, but they looked really busy. Scott had his, bag, and Mitch had his clothes, so I didn't want to ask for a picture and then ended up bothering them. So I was like, I love you guys so much, and they were like, oh, we love you too, hi, and I was like, hi. And then I was like, have fun, good luck tonight. And they were like, thank you so much, bye. And then they went inside, and I was just left out there like, what is life? So that happened. And then Scott's eyes were really blue, and I felt like I was drowning in them. Like, if you ever meet him or see him live, you will know the blueness of his eyes is real. So then I was the first one in line, which was one of my goals. So I was very proud of myself. I was like, yes, good job, Cassandra. So I waited in line from 3:40 until 6:30 when the doors opened. So once doors opened, I ran in, I got my merch, and then I went to sit down. And I sat down in the back because I thought that's where my seats were. And security was like, you have the wrong seats. You're actually 6 rows away from the stage in the front. And I was like, you're lying to me. Do not play with my emotions like this. So we're not lying. So they took me all the way down to the front, and they were correct. I was 6 or 7 rows away from the stage, and I was freaking out. I was like, I have had the best luck ever. First in line. I met Scott and Mitch. I'm 6 rows away from the stage now. God bless. So then Pentatonics tweeted to tweet them. Pentatonics said to tweet them your seat number, section number, row number, and you can win the signed poster. And I was like, well, I'm not going to get any luckier, so might as well try. And let me tell you, trying gets you places, people. Because a few minutes later, I felt a tap on my shoulder. And I look, and it was Jake, and I love Jake so much. His Twitter and his Snapchat is so freaking funny, and he's so sweet. And he's like, hey, are you Cassandra? And I was like, yes, that's me. I was all shy. And then he was like, oh, well, cool. Congrats, you won the signed poster. And I was like, you're lying. He's like, nope. And he gives it to me, and then he's like, they just signed it real quick right now. And then he was like, congrats. And I was like, thank you so much. By the way, you're my favorite on Twitter. And he's like, you're my favorite. And I died on the inside. And then I was just sitting there looking at my poster like, this is their signature. What even is life? And then a minute later, Jake comes back and he's like, actually, the band wants a picture of you for their Twitter. So can I get a picture? And I was like, yeah, sure. He's like, can you hold up the poster for me? And I was like, sure. So I held up the poster and I smiled with it, and he told me to slay. And then he told me again to have fun tonight. And then he left and disappeared. And I was just left sitting there like, this is my life. And then my phone started going crazy, so I decided to check out what was going on. Turns out Pentatonics tweeted, congrats at Kassandra Morale 6, which is my Twitter name, on winning the signed poster. You are adorable. Adorable was in all caps, and I was screaming. And then they were like, have fun tonight. And then it was the picture of me holding the poster. So I was like, this is my life. I was literally crying. And then they followed me on Twitter, and I was just there like, this is not happening. My idols did not just, this is, that's literally how I felt. So after I cried a little bit, the show started at 7:45, and they were absolutely amazing. They were mind-blowing. They sounded like gods and goddesses. They were perfection. That's the only word I can think of. If you ever have a chance to see Pentatonics in concert, please, this is me telling you, please go see them. You will thank me later. They are amazing. So then the show ends, and I'm sprinting outside, and I already see a whole bunch of people lined up at the barricade, which is where you need to be if you wanted to meet them. And I was like, oh no, I'm not gonna get a selfie. And then, so that was me being a bad, negative thinking person. And then at 10 o'clock-ish, Avi comes running out, and then he's like, guys, I'll be back later, I promise. And then he keeps running. And then Kirsty comes out a few seconds later, and she's like, oh no, guys, I promise you I'll be back soon. So then security's like, guys, they won't be back until like 11, 12. So if you guys want to wait. If you guys don't, then I suggest you leave. So as soon as he said that, literally half of the people just got up and left. And I was like, well, this just got a lot easier. And I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I have a chance for this. I'm not really sure. So then at 11 o'clock, Kevin came out. And I was freaking out because I love Kevin. And then he came to me, and I was like, hi, Kevin. And he's like, hey. And I was like, you were amazing tonight when you were cello boxing. It was literally blowing my mind. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. That's really sweet. And then he gave me like a bear hug, and I was just like, I'm going to die in your arms. But I hugged him back. And then I was like, can I get a picture? He's like, yeah, sure. So I took my picture with him. And then next thing you know, he was off to the next person. And I was like, oh, wow. So I was freaking out. And then like 10 minutes later, Avi was behind me. And I was like freaking out because I love Avi. And then I got in line because I wasn't going to push like some people were. So I got in line and I waited for him. And then it was finally my turn to see him. And those of you who have met Avi know his eye contact. What even? He literally went, he was like, hi, how are you? Like his eye contact was so on point. So I was like, I'm gonna die here. And I was like, I'm good, how are you? You were amazing. And he's like, oh, I'm doing good too. Thank you, that was so nice. And I was like, can I get a picture? He's like, yeah, sure. So he took our picture together with his deep voice and his eye contact. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna survive if I meet the other three. And then that was it with Avi. And then I gave him a hug. And then next thing I know, like 5 minutes later, I see Kirsty. And Kirsty is like my inspiration for everything. She's like so amazing. I literally want to be just like her. So I was freaking out. And then she came up to me and I was like, hi, Kirsty. And the first thing she says to me is, oh my God, what's your name? And she was so excited. And I was like, Kassandra. She's like, oh my God, wait, you're my Twitter friend. And I was like, this is not happening. She just called me her Twitter friend. Like, what even? Like, I was like, this is a dream. I was sort of like pinching myself and I was like, oh, great, this is real life. And then I was like, you're my Twitter friend too then? She's like, yes, we are. And then I gave her her present. She's like, oh my God, I'm obsessed with this. And she's like, wait, before I forget, your Dear Me video was so amazing. I loved it so much. I was watching it and every time you said something, I was like, yes, girl. She literally went like that. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. You don't know how much this means to me. She's like, good job on you for being wise. She called me wise. I was literally like on the floor in my head. If I could have fallen to the floor right there and dropped dead, that would have been my moment. But I composed myself and I was like, again, this means so much to me. Thank you so much. And then she's like, no problem. And I was like, can I have a picture? She's like, yes. So we took a picture. And I was like, good job tonight. You were amazing. She's like, thank you so much. Bye. And I was like, bye. So that was my experience with Kirsty. And then like 20 minutes later, Scott comes out. And I am going through it because everyone knows how much I love Scott. And sadly, because I'm small and I'm short and I wasn't really sure what was going on, I was still like in a daze, I got pushed all the way to the back. And then Scott ended up going on the other side. He didn't really meet everyone. And then I started crying, but security saw what happened. And this security guard literally takes me and my mom and says, come on. And he brings us to right in front of Scott and he goes, now you'll meet him. And I looked at him and I was like, he's an angel sent from above. This is not happening. And so the security guard went back to his stand. And then Scott came up to me. And then I was like, hi, Scott. And then before I could even finish this man's name, he just goes and hugs me. And I was like, okay, we're hugging. Oh, cool. And then I was like, hi, Scott, I have something for you. And then I got him a SpongeBob. And I gave it to him. And he got so excited. He's like, oh my God, I love SpongeBob so much. Did you see the new movie? And I was like, yes, I did. It was really funny. He's like, me and Mitch were dying of laughter the whole time. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, can I get a picture? He's like, yeah, sure, of course. So then we took our picture. And then I was like, thank you. But then he was trying to say thank you. And then he sort of like laughed. And I was like, oh, what? His laugh. And then he was like, thank you for this. And I was like, thank you. Bye. And then I said like thank you 3 times. I know I'm an awkward person. And then he was on to the next person. And then security took me back to my original position. And then Mitch came out. And I was freaking out because I love Mitch so freaking much. And then it was my turn to meet him, and I kind of panicked. So this was probably like my most awkward experience. And I sort of just stared at him for a second, and I was like, oh, right, you gotta say words. And I was like, hi, Mitch. And then he was like, hi. And I was like, so I have something for you. And I gave him the SpongeBob. And his face was like a little kid on Christmas morning. He's like, oh my God, I am obsessed with SpongeBob. He's like, I love this so much, thank you. And I was like, I knew you would like it. And then I was like, can I get a picture? And he's like, yeah. So then we took our picture together. He's like, thank you again. And I was like, no, thank you, I love you. He's like, I love you too. And then he was on to the next person. And then I was like, wait, I just met all 5 members of Pentatonics. And I was like, Mom, can we go now? And she's like, yeah. So I met everyone, and then I was on my way home. I really was. I was on my way home. I went to my car, and I broke down crying in the car. And I was like, this is real life. And that was my PT experience. That was my amazing and very lucky experience meeting them and winning the signed poster and everything. Thank you to everyone on Twitter who was so nice, and to everyone who helped me that night. So yeah, this was my experience. If you guys have experiences, you should let me know and make a video. I love watching these kinds of videos. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. And if you were there that night also, maybe leave a comment or something. Maybe we met, maybe we didn't. I just think it would be cool to know. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Bye! Another announcement, I'm putting my pictures with Pentatonics at the end of this video. So coming up right after this little clip. So yeah, thanks again. Bye!